And we're back. This is Elliot and Jose coming to you from Dreamland Comics in Schaumburg, Illinois. Thank you for joining us here on CCW TV, the Comic Culture Warrior video channel, where a comic book writer and a comic book vendor talk about comics, comic culture, the industry, and everything in between. Okay, so we wanted to give, in our last segment, we wanted to give Daredevil some attention. It's a book from Marvel that really, you know, for as much as they try to get some really good talent on the book, it doesn't seem to ever really launch. I mean, it's not been the same book that it was, well, heck, since Bendis and Malieve were on it.
You know? Well, thank God for that.
But still, yeah, that's when it was a top seller. Now, talk about some other books. A book that we have sung the praises of, and yet we were getting a little bit disappointed in it, and it seems to be resurging again. Buffy the Vampire Slayer from Dark Horse Comics. Issue number 32, part 1 of the Twilight story arc, written by New York Times bestselling author Brad Meltzer. And many comic book readers kind of despise Brad Meltzer for his identity crisis. I know Locus Mortis does not care for Brad Meltzer.
Well, and I know that you weren't looking forward to this.
And I was not looking forward to this.
Because every time you would mention it to me, you'd be like,
because Brad, I mean, I think the last thing of his that I read, and ironically, the thing that he won an Eisner for it, was that when he was on JLA, that JLA that he did with Gene Ha.
Oh, the Red Arrow?
The Red Arrow.
Arsenal, yeah, that was when he was trapped in the building.
Yeah, when they were trapped in the building. And,
did he really win an Eisner for that?
Well, Gene Ha won an Eisner for that.
Because I was going to say, that was the only issue of his entire run on JLA that I liked.
No, but I remember Gene Ha told me the story how he didn't even go to San Diego that day to get, to San Diego because he didn't really think he was going to get the Eisner. And Brad Meltzer was there. Had he gone, Samuel L. Jackson would have presented him with his Eisner. So he goes, Gene Ha says that's like his one regret, that he didn't go to San Diego that year because, it's like it's like Paul Newman not thinking he's going to win the Oscar that one time he doesn't go and he ends up winning it.
Now that, I would say, is a comic that I will remember fondly as one of the greatest reads that I've ever.
Well, the artwork was incredible.
Not Mutant X.
No.
See, when
Ultimate X.
When I think of great single issues, I know exactly which one you were talking about because that stands out as a great single issue.
Yeah, but remember, we are seasoned comic book readers. We've been reading comics for years. Ultimate X, I'll say it again, I don't really think it's intended for us. It's intended for the newer comic readers.
So when Jeff Loeb gives Wolverine Jr. a Fortress of Solitude in the next issue, you're going to call shenanigans?
Shenanigans, I say! It won't be a Fortress of Solitude. He's
going to call it the Fortress of Solitude.
It'll be his lair of seclusion.
Just wait, it's going to happen.
But anyway, yes, I wasn't really looking forward to Brad Meltzer on this, and I gotta say, yet another a nice surprise. Reading this issue was just fun. I mean, Brad Meltzer was totally channeling Joss Whedon here.
Yes, this is the best issue of Buffy I have read in a long, long time.
Well, I think it's...
I mean, the last issue was good that Whedon did. I mean, the Whedon issues are always good, but yeah, exactly. This reminded me of the TV show. The dialogue was awesome. There was funny jokes, and this is a nerdgasm.
Nerdgasm, yes. I was going to say...
Up the wazoo.
There are so many comic book references in here. We're talking when Andrew references the X-Men Teen Titans crossover. You are going, and that is old school. I mean, that is old school.
Yeah, and you mean he's even has the X-Men kind of jokes where he's using the X-Men boxes to introduce all the characters. And if you're a comic book fan, that's just a visual joke that you can get.
But the thing that I liked is that at the very end, he explains where that's coming from,
yeah.
Which was clever. Which was very clever. Too. It's not from the point of view of the omniscient narrator.
Right.
There's actually a character in this book who's using that narrative, which explains why it's happening, and it makes sense. Mm-hmm. So in this issue, Buffy is finding out that her powers are growing exponentially. she's getting, she's almost becoming Superman. Is a thing, or Supergirl.
Well, there's in the very first couple of pages, Xander gets a bright idea to see if she's faster than a speeding bullet.
Right? And I'm reading this, and mind you, if you were a Buffy fan, the idea of her having really her powers being off the charts, that's been established in the show before. In the I want to say it was the season 4 or 5 when they had the battle Atom at the very end.
Yeah, season 4.
It was season 4. And they had to perform the Scooby Gang had to perform a certain ritual that could channel all the power of the Slayers, of all Slayers throughout time, into Buffy. And Buffy had these incredible powers, again, totally off the charts. So to think that her powers can be manifested in this way is not unheard of. It has happened in the past. But still, as I'm reading this, and I hate to say it, because I had the idea that it's Brad Meltzer writing this in the back of my head, and I know that Brad Meltzer is a total Superman dork, and it felt like he was like shoehorning that into it until you get to the reveal at the end.
Reveal, not really original. It has been done before in Rising Stars, in some other things, but I kind of like the fact, before we get to the reveal, I like the fact that the one person who thinks that Buffy getting these powers is bad news is Dawn.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'm reading this, I'm like, Dawn's such a... But she was right.
Dawn being the voice of reason.
Yeah, for once.
Yeah.
And when you're reading it, like, shut up, Dawn, all right? Yeah. But she actually has valid points, and when you get to the end, you're like, all right.
She was right, yeah. So I like Brad Meltzer, the Kitty Pryde joke in here was great.
There's so many jokes, like, on every page, just tons of comic stuff. And again, this reminds me of back when they used, like, in the last season of Buffy, whenever they were, or even season 6 when they had the nerds, the geeks. But this reminded me of the
Nerds of Doom, Dorks of Doom. Yeah.
This reminded me of the episode of the last season where Andrew was videotaping people. Yeah. And that had so many fucking jokes in it, like in-jokes, like Dragon Ball Z jokes and like comic jokes, and those are some of my favorite episodes because the writers are fans of this, and you're reading this, and you can't help but smile and laugh at some of these jokes because they're only things that nerds and geeks would really, really know.
And don't get me wrong, as lighthearted as it is from time to time, the story takes a really dark turn. And
that's how all the good Buffy stories
go. Good Buffy stories are. And Brad Meltzer, Meltzer's kind of gotten a bit of he's gotten kind of a rap for some of his work being misogynistic.
Well, especially Identity Crisis.
And Identity Crisis, and I can kind of see that rap continuing here with this book, especially again with the reveal. And
he is following Joss Whedon's.
He is following exactly.
So it wasn't a Brad Meltzer idea. It wasn't like I'm gonna have, I'm not gonna have so and so rapes who did me, and that's gonna be my story, and that's gonna be the reveal. This is actually Joss Whedon's thing, and in the context of the role of Buffy, in season 7 when all the potential Slayers got their powers, that was cool, but that's actually too much. And it's one of the things that Joss Whedon's been building in here is that the Slayers are now kind of getting a bad rap around the world. Right. People are hating them. And now this is sort of kind of bringing all that back in to make things level again.
He's kind of doing his own mutant House of M style deal with the Slayers. House of S. Just to say, this has been a week of surprises. Another thing that I enjoyed about this issue was that Georges Genti's artwork it's gotten way better.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I constantly complain about that guy's art. But whatever, I don't know. I have to look and see if there's a different inker. I don't know what the deal was. But yeah, the art was not nearly as distracting as it has been for like 2 years for me.
Mind you, there are a couple pages here where the body proportions look kind of funky and the characters look a little too cartoony.
But the whole issue looked consistent for once.
And I think it was because now they had those fill-ins with Carl Molina doing, and they had a couple fill-in issues. It gave him a chance to really slow down again and just start focusing on the artwork and making it top-notch. Mind you, the series started really strong, kind of got a little spotty there in the middle. I can see here again, it's going back to being strong again, especially how they're building towards the reveal of the big bad, who we already know what that's going to be. And and this cover, there's some alternate cover that they did for issue 31. Normally I get the Joe Chen cover, but this one I just have to get this one this week. So I'm giving this one a solid seal of approval, the CCW seal of approval.
No, this is like I said, best issue of Buffy I've read in a very long time. And again, this was one that we've talked about numerous times, that if they don't turn it around for me, that's going to be it. Yeah. And that one issue did work for me. So.
And another book that we wanted to talk about and bring some attention to is Demo by Brian Wood and Becky Cloonan. This is the second round of story arcs in the Demo line. They have done this before. In fact, this is one of the titles that helped get Becky Cloonan a lot of the attention that she does and notoriety that she has had. And I will admit, the first time I have read a Demo book by these two. I'm a big fan of Becky Cloonan's. I watch her, I read her KGB webcomic, and I have Picsou at home, the book that she did with Gabriel Ba. So, what is Demo, for those who might have never read this before? They're kind of these... this is like a one-and-done story. It tells a story of a young woman who has like a vision or a dream of a dream of a person's death. And she becomes so haunted by it that she can't sleep. She doesn't sleep for days because she has to figure out who is this person that she knows is going to die. And it's kind of the old, if you had the knowledge that something was going to happen to somebody somewhere, and you could do something, would you follow through on that bit of information?
To prevent it.
Yeah, to prevent it. So it's kind of a straightforward story, but what makes it work are all the little touches that Brian Wood gives it in the script and what Becky Cloonan puts in the artwork. There's a scene right here, and it's really one of the most unstated things. Here, our female protagonist, is in her studio in San Francisco. She's taken her shoes off and has her bare feet kind of like on the little rest of her chair. That's something that you see women do all the time in offices. And it's such an observant little thing. It makes this character feel very real. Makes her feel very real. So with someone like this, unless you can really care about who they are and why they're doing what they're doing, it's just an exercise in, character going from point A to point B to point C. I have to say, I really liked the story, even though I'm going to tell you, I saw the ending coming.
Yeah, I saw the ending coming a mile away.
A mile away, yeah. But the fact that at least they got me to care about this person as all this was going on, and it felt very real. Brian Wood has a very nice sense of getting into a character's head. The whole story is told through internal monologue. And
not the whole story.
Most of it. I'm just saying, a lot of it. And as Tony Daniel so succinctly demonstrated to us in Battle for the Cow, sometimes internal monologue, if you do it bad, it comes off really, really bad. Here, it was done very, very well. Right. And I got to say, plus, Becky Cloonan's artwork, this is all black and white. It's an all black and white book. I got to say, I don't see this book really needing a lot of color.
There's not even any gray tones or zipper tone or anything. It's straight black and white. Straight
black and white and just done so well. Yeah. I don't see how this story would need color to enhance it. So if you haven't been reading this is a great book just to pick up and to read and to share. And
there is a collection of the first demo series. They actually put out like a nice hardcover version of it. AIT Planet Lar put it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's a very accessible book. It is a one and done. It's they're just the type of story arcs that there's an interview with Brian Wood in the back telling where he came up with this idea of just doing these one and done stories. And yeah, I mean, again, you saw the ending coming, but it was kind of like the whole getting there, and they're actually putting you in. You're following this woman Joan around. From having this dream and the fact that she hasn't slept for 9 days.
Yeah.
And, she needs to buy a plane ticket to where she's going. She maxes out her credit cards. She quits her job because she doesn't know how long she's going to get there. She only gets a one-way ticket there because she just feels the need to get there. She doesn't know what she's going to do once she gets there, and if she finds this person. So it's kind of like you're kind of seeing it. And you're like, wow, she's cutting all her ties. She's getting rid of everything. She breaks up with her boyfriend. It might not end very well, but that's just how determined she is. And again, when you're sleep deprived and you're not really, you just want to get to that conclusion. You want this all to stop,
right?
By any means necessary. And I don't know. I thought it was very subtle, very subtle story. There wasn't a lot to read. It's a very quick read. But I did enjoy it a lot. And
not to seem snobbish, but considering I just went to London like a month or so ago, I love the artwork was really very well rendered. So that was it's really cool to see the London Underground sign and St. Paul's Cathedral, all things that I have actually visited. So it was really kind of cool to see those in comic form, and Becky Cloonan does a great job of rendering all of it. Mm-hmm. So it's a great book to pick up and to read, and a great book for female readers too. They're going to really enjoy this kind of book. No flights, no tights in here. It's just solid characterization and stories.
Yep, agreed.
All right, when we come back, we will have Last Rants. Last Rants about the one thing that many of you have been asking us about, which is what? Watchmen 2. We hope you join us.